All right, so this is Belinda Morrow, and she's here with the White River Sanctuary, which I've showed you on film before, so just recap here. You have the river, all right, coming down from out of the mountain, and we just happen to be right where it dumps into the sea. But the lighting is rough because of the sun's reflection. Just so you get an idea. And Belinda was just asking me if I know what the sanctuary represents, what it's about. And I really don't know the whole details other than, you know, I see the wardens come in. Sometimes I just, you know, I ask them, what did they come across out there? If it was somebody spearing fish or whatever. I know we're trying to rebuild the reef. I spoke with a gentleman who is part of that rebuilding program. So
Felix?
The gentleman from...
Felix?
Is it the young guy? Is he a young guy? Okay, yeah. So I thought his name was Gordon, but Felix. I think I met a Gordon. I don't...
Gordon is the one up there.
Okay, Gordon's the one that drives the Honda. That's how I know Gordon. Okay, because we both drive Hondas. So we got talking about that one day. So anyway, Belinda, why don't you tell us about the sanctuary?
So let me tell you about the White River Fish Sanctuary. And first of all, although it's called White River Fish Sanctuary, it's not a sanctuary on the river. It's a sanctuary in the sea, and the river comes down approximately in the middle. It's about 150 hectares of a protected area, which is really a no-take zone. The White River fishermen are very instrumental in helping to get this going.
Right. So this is all on the inside of the reef is what we're talking about.
No, not. So I would tell you about where the area is for the sanctuary is the fishermen fish along here. So we cross the parishes of St. Anne and St. Mary. What happened is the fishermen have fished here for years and years and years, and they see the fish population, their catch going just down, having to spend more hours, whether it's pot fishermen, spear fishermen,
hook and line,
every kind of fisherman. So they had heard about this thing called a sanctuary, so they wanted to do something. And go back to 2015, where we had a conversation, and they had tried to do something before, but you know, fishermen sometimes don't necessarily work so well together. So by having an outside group of people, so we have the White River Marine Association, who is just a random group of people, of which I'm one of them. And then we have a co-partnership with the White River Fishermen. And we decided after many meetings, a year and a half of meetings and talking and what does it actually mean, and all of that, we reached out to Minister of Fisheries, and we got designated as a fish sanctuary. How we chose the area is that it's basically the area that the White River fishermen tend to fish in. It's deep enough that it's outside of the one reef and inside of the deeper reef.
Okay.
So they can still drop their pots, but still not be so, because the sea bottom drops off very quickly here.
Yes.
And so that they could still fish. It's perhaps not as far out as it could be for a protected area to come back very quickly, but it's certainly doing a great job. We're 2017 we were designated, and we're at 2023. We did a baseline study. We did a follow-up study last year after 5 years, and we see that the fish population has increased considerably. Our coral coverage likewise. I just preface that by saying we started with very few fish. So even though our fish population might have gone up by 62%, we started with 5 fish.
Barely.
More than 5, but
right.
I'm just saying we started with very small fish. And what we measure is just not numbers of fish. We also measure its biomass. So
yes.
It's size, numbers, and weight. So, well, not weight, size and numbers. So you get so that's how we work.
Well, you can see how they're growing.
Yeah. So it's a no-take zone. The idea is that you need everything. You need the whole marine environment to come back. It's not just about the fish. The fish, these type of fish, particularly coral fish, need the habitat. We've lost a lot of our coral reef through many different reasons.
Yes.
Storms.
And I personally was
pollution,
able to see that.
Development, diadema dieback. Overfishing. Everybody wants to blame the fishermen overfishing for the reason. It's not. They are part of the problem. But it started to happen, and then by having less fish to catch, perhaps exacerbated the problem.
It's more about just not being
So
educated in the things. So it's not about anyone,
Yeah.
like you said, one particular thing
Yeah.
leading to the
So-
destruction. It's just not
So
having
what's
the
really
knowledge.
important, that we call it a fish sanctuary, but it's more than a fish sanctuary because we're really protecting the whole area. We're storing the reef, and we need to do that because the reef not only is habitat for the fish, but of course it protects our shoreline. And if we don't have a shoreline, a lot of us rely on the shoreline, whether it be a hotel or whether it's a beach or whether it's we rely on that. So we need to bring back the reef. But the fish need the reef need the fish. The
Is there
herbivores. help to
anything
clean it.
besides political? Like, is there any nonprofits involved? Is there any money raising going on? Is there any outreach networking with other programs?
So we here at White River get, whilst we get project funding from the government, we get very little direct funding from the government. Some of the marine protected areas do get funding. I guess they don't quite have enough money, so we haven't quite got there yet. We're still hoping. So we spend our whole time fundraising. And that's the only way we manage to survive. And luckily we have some stakeholders along the way. We have some interested individuals, we have interested businesses, and we reach out for grants. We spend an inordinate amount of time fundraising, and one of our biggest aspects is one of our biggest expenses is the protection side of it. We pay our wardens to protect the area, make sure people don't go in there and fish, are our fishermen, so they have buy-in because they want more fish. So they'll get, they're trained as wardens, so they have skin in the game, as they like to say. So that's our biggest expense, and then we do our coral restoration. We are able to get funding for that. Grant funding seems easier for that. Grant funding for wages is really hard to get, but if we don't keep people out of the sanctuary, then everything falls apart. So we need that, we need people not to go in there and fish. I'm thinking that moving forward we will get more money from the government because we are doing this for the people of Jamaica. We're doing it for everybody. It's not just for the White River community, but we do try and put our money back into the community. As I say, we employ this. I say we. I'm talking about the sanctuary, and the sanctuary it's just the people who got it together. It's nothing. I'm not the sanctuary. It's just a community effort.
Are you a resident of Jamaica? Are you a Jamaican? What's your status here?
I'm a Jamaican. I was born right here. I used to go down there, fish at the end of the bridge there, or the river mouth there. I know a lot of these people from back when. So, I grew up about 5 miles up in the hills, went to school locally. So I have vested interest.
Definitely.
And when I had time, I look out there and I see a huge change. So I saw I'd have some time on my hands now. I can help to whatever it is that we need to do. I can help to make that happen.
For me,
So,
the first time I came to Jamaica was 1989, and I snorkeled, and the reef was remarkable. My next time I snorkeled, although I had returned, was 2014, and I was just beside myself with tears and the devastation. I couldn't even, and then even a little amount of guilt because the first time I came here as a young person and not being educated to understanding habitat and its crucial role was I took home some coral. It was already dry and on land, but by purchasing that I was contributing and participating in the demise. But of course I didn't understand that.
I
But
understand
now,
that.
looking
And,
back,
I think that's a lot part of it. Let me just flip back to the other thing I was saying is that we really try and put money back into community, and so we have, the sanctuary hires the wardens who are fishermen so that there's a steady income. So if you have a steady income, that might enable you to have to put down money on a car loan or something like
Right.
that. Whereas fishing is, up and down. One day you have money, one day you don't. So, that's a very plus there. The sanctuary has done training. It has some literacy training that went on that was really successful. We have trained numerous people in the TPDCO, which is a tourism product training for anybody who's working in the tourist industry. So that's a good training to have if you want to be a Rossman or you want to go and work in the hotel. So we've helped in order to try and get people to, perhaps the fishing is not providing everything they need, so if we can give you some help. We've helped some people to get jobs because people come to us and say, do you have anybody in the community you'd like to recommend? So we've got them jobs. We've also trained some people in scuba diving, so that actually 6 or 8 in scuba diving. And then this is all with grants from people.
Right.
We, the sanctuary, can't do anything on our own. We
and
have
all
to thank
this
of our grants.
income
And-
potential is wonderful, but again, I'm going to come back to educating people about
So
their
now-
impact,
right,
the social
exactly.
responsibility. So,
So-
there's some good money to be spent.
So then, these meetings that we had, they weren't in vain. What we did was like, I as a child used to go out there and pick up a conch, and then I find a prettier one, I take that one. So, a lot of it is that, is just not knowing. So
Right.
that if so a lot of those meetings that we had every single Monday for 2.5 more years, a lot of it was just, what does it mean to be a sanctuary? Why should you leave the dead conch in the sea? Why should you leave the dead coral in the sea? And show that, oh well, that one becomes a habitat for a crab, or that coral breaks down and then it becomes some sand, or so, and it just, you need to have the balance. So and then the other thing is to talk about the river and the influences of what people are
Right.
doing up in the
What
hills.
rolls
So
downhill?
the sanctuary gave us a platform to have a lot of those discussions. And then now also we have outreach with children from schools. We've worked
Yes.
with some of our local schools here, and we're actually trying to get going now an after school program right here at the sanctuary. And then we're working on a program, and then children will come here, or the bigger children will go to them. So all the time we're doing a little bit of, we are doing some outreach. It got stopped during COVID. But even then, we worked with some kids. We helped them with PEP exams because they couldn't get Wi-Fi. So, the
Excellent.
sanctuary is tiny. We have a very small capacity. We spend a lot of time trying to fundraise. We have an Instagram page. If you're interested to help us, you can go on there. There's a global giving form there. Or if there's something you're interested to volunteer in, glad for your help. Again, the volunteering, I'm going to just qualify that, because a lot of people say, oh, I'll dive, I'll come and help, but we actually really need divers of a certain standard, because otherwise it's more hindrance than help.
Sure.
But that can be helpful.
So what's the number one thing you want people to take away from this?
What would be the number one thing is
Think the number one crucial
I guess
thing.
what I think was really come back to me is that I saw the devastation of the reef, the lack of fish. I did not think it would come back so quickly, and we see a huge change in a short time. So what I'm saying to people is, make that change at home. Even if you're not in Jamaica, make that change. Walk with your water bottle. Go in a shop, and when you see all of the plastic and stuff, don't use it if you can help. Those little things make a difference. Out at
Recycle.
sea here, the little bit of difference that we have made in 5 years just by patrolling, we are seeing the fish come back. I mean, I don't know how much snorkeling or diving you've done, but spontaneously, we now have people coming and saying, we see more fish. The corals, this year we have a huge bleaching episode, so it'll be interesting to see when the water cools down, who is still alive, what is still alive. But
Right.
generally, it's been a really positive. So my one takeaway is, make that change. You can do it. Just a small change. Just think about it when you're gonna buy that bottle, 5th plastic cup for the day, or the 10th cup of coffee for the day. That's all plastic. Even those disposable paper cups that they have for coffee, they have plastic inside them. So guys, take your cup with you, or and if you feel like supporting us, that would be wonderful too, because
Tell them again where they can find you.
so, in order to support us, we have an Instagram page, White River Fish Sanctuary, and on there you'll see a link for global giving. It's a very good platform, very responsible, very helps us a lot, and so I would recommend that if you'd like to give, $1 a day for the year, or $5 a year, for whenever, or anything,
Any help is a
it
good
just
help.
really helps. And so the more people for the trucks, the more people from that site. So if we get somebody who say, I'm going to give you $5 a year, the global giving site then comes to help us as well. Yeah, so they will, the more people we get on, they will help us. So
Thank you,
anyway,
Belinda.
if you want to have a question, we have on Instagram, it has phone numbers and things like that, so you can
Call
check
and
us out
ask
or
questions.
send us a message.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to explain this to the world.
Yeah, all right. Well,
All right.
I'll do our
Respect.
bit. Thanks a lot.